Good morning or good afternoon, whatever time you guys are listening to us. Welcome back to another edition of the Layman's AI podcast. I am Adam,
And my name is Brian.
and we want to thank you guys for joining us for episode 41. Tonight's episode, full disclosure, it's most likely going to be one of those ones you might want to check us out on YouTube. We'll do the best we can to talk about what we're seeing out loud, but this is definitely one of those ones you may want to take a look at YouTube because tonight we're going to perform a little experiment, if you will. Between
hmm
the four common LLMs that we mentioned the most, that would be Claude, Grok, ChatGPT, and Gemini. And
hmm
Brian, would you mind telling our guests a little bit about what they can expect from us in tonight's episode?
yeah, so basically, we're gonna take a couple hot button political socioeconomic topics, and we're just gonna ask some basic questions to these four different chatbots. And also disclosure, we are in no way, publicly taking a stance on any of these issues. We just wanted
Yeah.
to ask these chatbots here exactly what they have to say in response to what we're some of these hot button issues. It's basically, we do have our opinions, I'm sure, but we do not share a lot of political opinions on this podcast. You can listen to other ones for that and everything, but we just wanted to kind of check the different models and the four big LLMs as to, do you have a bias towards any of these questions? And, how would you respond to some of these things? And we're just gonna straight up ask them some questions and see what they have to say. The same exact question for all four of them, I should add.
And that's an important part. So we are going to do that each time we open it. We're going to do a new thread. And again, cannot stress enough. We're going to check and see how, if these questions, I don't even know how to put this, but we're going to check to see if these questions that we upload trigger a different response in each LLM. And we're going to
hmm
find out if there's any possibly inherent bias. I know I have my predictions. I think they're similar to
hmm
Brian's. I'll go
hmm
ahead and share my prediction out loud. I think Grok of the four is going to be give us a little bit more conservative answers, or dare I say, answers that could be a little more right-winged than
hmm
the other three. However, we could be surprised. Um,
hmm
kind of anxious to do this one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
As always, yes. So, first question.
Okay.
We're going to ask all four of them, and looks like we're
Yep.
starting with ChatGPT right here.
Yep.
Should President Trump have sought congressional approval before Operation Epic Fury against Iran? I think maybe don't have to say against Iran, but should he have sought congressional approval? I know that's a big debate right now on Capitol Hill and all over social media. My advice, don't argue politics on social media. You're not going to get anywhere.
That is
Um,
correct, Brian. I would
but
not, yeah, argue sports, argue things that,
Mhm.
matter, but not politics.
I would love arguing sports. I just like chatting about it. Okay, so we're also telling ChatGPT here, keep your answer precise and consistent and concise.
If I spoke
Precise and
concise.
concise.
And
Yeah, so
we call that the Gemini rule. It's
mhm,
because Gemini will go on and on and on.
it
Oh,
does
another,
babble.
it does babble. So another key point of this is each time we do it, we're going to open up a new thread.
hmm
Additionally, we are using the free versions of all of these.
Yes.
So though I have a paid version of Claude, for example, I used a different email for that. So the actual Claude that you have here would be the free version. So for
hmm
ChatGPT, this one's the automatic, I think, which is the 5.2. And we're going to start with that one. So again,
Okay.
should President Trump have sought congressional approval prior to starting Operation Epic Fury, keep your answer precise and concise. And
And boom.
here we go.
And here we're thinking. Okay, so
Wow.
this is very specific here, and the answer is yes. Under the traditional interpretation of U.S. war powers, the president should seek congressional authorization if operation constitutes sustained hostilities or a significant military campaign. Key legal framework, U.S. Constitution. Congress has the power to declare war. President is commander-in-chief. Directs military operations. War power resolutions in 1973. Result of Vietnam. May initiate limited military action without prior approval. However, Congress must be notified within 48 hours. Military engagement must end within 60 days unless Congress authorizes it. So This basically says, yeah, he should have done so. Um, I think the debate right there is limited military action without prior approval.
Mm.
But Congress should be notified within 48 hours, and that's kind of the debate right now, I'd say.
I think that is the debate because are you notified 48 hours prior or are you notified for within 48 hours of the strike happening?
Yeah, that's kind of
Because
the
just and
argument.
yeah, that is an open argument just because we're talking about the War Powers Act of 1973. I don't want to go on a history tangent. For those of you who do not know, I am a former
Hmm.
social studies teacher, so I will try my best not to go into a history lesson here.
Yeah,
However, information today is significantly rapid compared to what it was in 1973. Don't get me wrong, it was
exactly.
faster in 1973 than it was, in 1873.
Yeah.
But still, so ChatGPT says yes,
Hmm.
President Trump should have done that.
Yeah, and kind of my interpretation with ChatGPT, it is trying to relate everything to the Constitution and the War Powers Resolution. So it's definitely trying to use the standing laws to generate its answer.
Yeah, it's
So
it's going for the constitutional
yeah, so
answer. Yeah,
it definitely leaves it open for a debate, but yeah, I think it definitely does do a good job here of looking at the constitutions and
correct.
kind of good sources here. So let's ask Gemini the same exact question.
Here we go, and I cannot wait. I'm really just here to see if this keeps it precise and concise.
Yeah,
So here we go.
because Gemini rambling.
It does have a rambling factor.
It does. Okay. Should have sought is a subject of significant and legal political debate centering on the balance of war powers. Okay. So it is giving us a
It has an argument
two-sided
for.
argument.
Yeah,
Argument
I
for and argument against.
it did
So
not answer the question.
current status. Congress is currently divided. Some lawmakers are pushing for a war power resolution. Others are drafting a retroactive AUMF. What is AUMF? I'm not
I'm
very
sorry, I'm
good
still
with that
reading
one.
on. Where
Yeah,
where where are you at? Help me out.
I was looking at the conclusion right
Oh,
there.
AMF is authorized use to military force.
Okay,
Or
there
that's
we go.
AUMF. I'm sorry. So
AUMF, yeah.
authorized military force is probably AMF.
So yeah, so this one kind of did actually stay
It,
in the middle on this issue
it,
here.
I don't even think it answered the question. We asked it though.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
it's not giving us an answer. That's kind of
no, that's a Switzerland response if I have ever heard one.
yes,
It's a little
yes,
history joke.
definitely, definitely. It's yeah, I can see it's not really giving an answer. It's almost it seems as if it's not trying to give us an answer. Like it
Correct.
doesn't want to give you that answer
It,
because of some kind of liabilities. Where ChatGPT was straightforward and to the point and said, "No, this should have happened."
yeah,
Which you can keep it open-ended on that, but yeah, it looks like Gemini is trying not to get involved in a hot button topic, which I can respect it to a point.
I can kind of
Um,
respect it, but we did ask, should
yes.
he have done that?
Yes, and it's
Yes or no is
basically
what I was expecting.
yes, but Gemini trying to remain neutral on a moving train.
Hmm.
It's can't do that. But here we go. Let's ask Grok.
Let's ask Grok. And I am
And
I am licking my chops waiting to see what
yeah,
Grok says.
I think we might be surprised maybe, but we'll see what
We'll
Grok has
see.
to say.
We'll see.
We'll see it.
Grok is full of surprises. That's one thing I got to say about Grok. All right, so here we go with Grok.
All right.
It's still analyzing. It did give us a
Yep.
quick blurb.
Appears unfamiliar and maybe fiction. Oh.
Wow. Whoa,
Okay, wait. Okay,
it's
no,
still
that's
thinking.
the
Maybe
analyzing.
it's still gathering. So we shouldn't have read those bullet points out loud to our listeners.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
still searching the
definitely.
web, gathering information. I actually kind of appreciate this. By the way, it's showing us it's thinking, which I don't think the other two did. If they did, we might
No.
have missed it.
Yeah, it might have been really quick, but this one's definitely showing
Yeah,
more thinking here.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
I,
So,
I guess
oh, just as I
okay.
suspected.
No, President Trump acted within his Article 2 authority as Commander-in-Chief to initiate limited military actions against an imminent nuclear threat from Iran, consistent with historical precedents like strikes in Syria, strikes in Libya. Congressional notification was provided post-launch per the War Powers Resolution, with approval potentially required for sustained operations beyond 60 days.
Right.
So, it gave us the exact opposite of ChatGPT, and
Exact opposite.
I was kind of expecting it to basically take a side here, and it took the side we both kind of predicted here.
It did take the side we
Um,
both predicted, although I will say kudos to Grok for two things. In particular, the research prior to you thought for 34 seconds, according to this,
hmm
you grabbed 20 sources. I don't have a clue how many ChatGPT grabbed. Maybe I could find
Yeah.
that still. Maybe that's still on there.
Well, yeah, it might be up there. Let's see here.
I'm not seeing how many
Yeah,
sources it gave. No, it's
it
not listed.
yeah, it's not showing
No,
sources here.
no. But
Okay.
truth be told, what they're debating right now, ChatGPT and Grok, is what's being
hmm
debated overall between Congress and
Yeah.
everybody else.
So
I will say
yeah.
this answer is precise and concise, though.
Yeah, that was nice. I appreciate that. It kept it precise.
Hmm.
What are the sources though? I'm kind of curious.
Oh, well, let's take a look here because I thought I saw Facebook as a source, but 20 sources
Yeah.
are anywhere from, got to move us. Um, let's see. Did a web search for Operation Epic Fury, analyzing the presidential actions here. Did a web search, Trump seeking congressional. Oh, that's the thinking right there.
It's just
So
doing web searches.
that's funny. It says 20 sources, but I don't see 20 sources. I
It's
see
not providing
steps.
links. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what's this here? There's our sources. Okay. Fact
Facebook,
check. Has
YouTube,
President Trump violated? That's on Facebook.
X.com, yeah,
X.com.
WhiteHouse.gov.
WhiteHouse.gov. Okay.
Okay.
So I feel it's safer to say that the sources it pulled might have been a little biased on this one.
Yeah, CBS Austin, which
CBS
CBS
Austin.
is
Okay.
owned by Trump allies, so to say.
CBS's
Or
or
is what they
CBS
said.
Austin?
CBS
Okay.
in general. I don't know if Austin is it, but it's looking a lot on YouTube videos, White
Oh, here.
House.
I'm sure you're shocked on this one, Fox News. So, for those of
Yeah.
you who do not know, there is a little bit of a uh, concern that Grok has more right-wing training or will
hmm
lean right-wing with its responses and with its answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
And
looking
it
right
is
here,
using a
Fox
lot. I'm
Business.
seeing a
Yeah.
lot of social media and everything. So
But on a
yeah.
positive note, it did cite the sources to us, which we always
hmm
appreciate.
Yes, I do appreciate that. So yeah, I
Okay.
that's kind of what I expected right there. So let's go to Claude.
All right. Here we go,
Let's ask
Claude.
Claude.
Yep.
Everybody's the hottest app on the App Store right now.
Is that right? The
Yes,
secret's
it's the
out.
hottest app right now. Yep, secret's out.
And you and
Well,
I have proof. We were Claude fanboys before it was a cool thing.
yes, and we did an episode prior to its dispute with the government. But anyway,
Yeah,
Claude, what
that's
do you
right.
have to say about this right here?
Let's see what Claude does here. Appears to be thinking, searching the web. That was some fast
Okay.
results there.
Active constitutional political debate. Here's the landscape.
Ah,
Case for requiring approval. Case against requiring prior approval. Where things stand politically. Bottom line, strictly read, the Constitution will probably support the argument that congressional approval is required. In
okay.
practice, however, presidents have routinely initiated military operations without it. Norm is likely to be reversed by Congress in this case. Whether Trump should have sought approval is fundamentally a question of constitutional principle versus executive precedent, and reasonable people disagree based on what they prioritize.
So I
Uh,
started upset, thought it gave us the Switzerland, but
mhm,
what it actually did was give us an answer, but it gave us the reasoning prior to, and it
yeah.
basically says he should have sought approval is fundamentally a question of constitutional principle. Again, not
hmm
exactly giving us an answer, but trying to answer the question.
Yeah, so it's kind of another sort of middle of the road answer, I'd say. I'm kind of okay with that, to be honest with you.
I will say I think the sources are more middle ground than
Yeah, definitely. I,
uh
I, I did see some
there's
other
CB,
sources in there. Yeah,
CBS News, CBS News,
CBS News.
PBS,
Yeah,
the what
Arab
was this?
Center,
Arab Center
DC.
DC, another PBS.
Yeah,
Um, I thought I saw NPR somewhere on there, but maybe that was when it was
yeah,
thinking. But
yeah. Either way,
nevertheless, it has good sources, which is nice.
yeah.
So
I do appreciate non-biased sources with stuff like this, so
it helps. Um,
definitely.
Nothing terribly out of the ordinary. I'm a little surprised that Gemini took such a middle ground.
Yeah,
I feel like Claude took a second middle ground, probably should have answered the question a little better.
yeah.
I was Not terribly surprised with
Grok.
OpenAI or ChatGPT, and I was definitely
Yeah.
not surprised with Grok, like at
Yeah,
all. That
definitely
was
not.
exactly
So
what we were expecting. So,
so yeah, anyway, that's that question.
all
All
right,
right, let's go on to our next question and I'll let you start a new chat here. So our next question, should school teachers be allowed to carry firearms?
teachers be allowed to carry firearms? Keep
Keep our
your
answers
answer.
precise and concise. Mainly because I don't like the babble.
All right, let's copy that so I have it for the other ones. And wow, that was
Oh,
a definitive notice. It did not
oh
think on
yeah.
this one.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of very interesting that it kind of did that so quickly. And for those who can't read it, Grok's answer is no. School teachers should not be allowed to carry firearms as a standard policy. Minimal evidence, armed teachers meaningful reduce casualties, significantly increases risk of accidental shootings, places untrained, occasionally trained civilians in high stress tactical
Hmm.
roles, better left to law enforcement, diverts focus and resources from more effective prevention layers. Data we have found from incidents, staff are armed, shows no clear safety net. Most law enforcement and organizations, teachers union organizations, oppose the idea. Okay.
Okay,
I'll say I was not expecting that from Grok. I was expecting a little more of a right leaning and everything. But no, it definitely gave us a very definitive no.
it did.
They should not be allowed to. So that's yeah, that's kind of their answer right there. Let's see
Yep.
what Gemini has to say.
Hey, Gemini, new chat.
Okay.
All right, so we're asking Gemini the same question.
Same exact question. Question should be allowed a deeply complex issue with arguments on both
Oh,
sides. No universal consensus, and policies vary by jurisdiction. Has an argument in favor, argument against, and yeah, the argument in favor, yeah, kind of. Let's see. Yeah, argument against has liability training, school environment, et cetera, safety risks. Um, well, I will say, you do run the risks of undertrained individual
oh,
carrying a firearm,
I
which
don't
is
even.
not
I,
safe.
I will tell you, Brian, I was a high school principal when the Parkland
Hmm.
incident happened in
Uh-huh.
Florida, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like you and I could talk about this, and we're not going to go on a tangent about this because you and I unfortunately have experienced a school
Yeah.
shooting when we were younger.
Yeah.
This was being brought up heavily at that time,
Hmm.
and I immediately stood against it,
Yeah.
just from a personal
Yeah.
standpoint of no, and I don't want to talk politics too much, so
Yeah.
it's kind of I feel like this might be an easier one to answer, but notice
Hmm.
Gemini didn't answer it on this one.
Yeah. Once again, it's almost as if it's trained not to give a definitive answer.
So there could be some
Uh,
positives to that, just for what the purposes were performing
hmm.
our experiment tonight.
Yeah.
It's not. That's
Hmm.
not what we're
Yeah,
looking
definitely.
for.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. But yeah, Google, once again, Gemini, middle of the road. ChatGPT, what does it have to say?
so new
New
chat.
chat?
I'm hoping we can go back to Claude, but let's see
Yeah, I'm
what.
hoping so too.
All right, so right away,
No.
I will say this: ChatGPT and Grok are giving us answers
Yeah.
immediately. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this one's precise and concise.
Yeah,
So
very.
it
Yeah,
says
pause.
no. Generally, no. Teachers should not be armed, is what ChatGPT is saying.
Mm-hmm.
From a policy and safety standpoint, most education law enforcement experts argue that the introducing of firearms into classrooms increases risk rather than reduces it. Schools are complex environments with minors, emotional conflicts, absolutely, high
Mm-hmm.
liability of exposure, training requirements, secure storage, accidental discharge risk, and misuse of concerns. Excuse me, and misuse concerns make the implementation difficult. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, whether or not we agree or disagree with that, you, the listener, agrees
Mm-hmm.
or disagrees. Our purpose isn't to grade them on the response, even though I kind of just did earlier, so that's on me. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact of the matter is, we're asking, will it give us a response? And the answer is yes. Here
Okay.
at two of the
Yeah.
three. I'd like to try to go back to Claude and see what's going on here.
Yeah. Hope.
So let's add
Yes.
Claude again. This is Sonnet 4.6, which is the general free one.
Genuinely contested policy, reasonable arguments on both sides.
Mm.
Debate ultimately involves trade-offs between competing values. Where do people agree and disagree? Public and research opinions and states find very significantly on the issue. Sorry, I'm kind of mumbling here. Another
Yeah.
non-answer.
Non-answer.
A non-answer. So, seeing a trend here,
I
Claude and Gemini don't want to touch a highly opinionated debate, whereas Grok and ChatGPT have no problem making a stance.
I don't
I
know
guess
what
that's a debate in itself.
I think that is a debate in itself because in this case we're asking it questions where we want an answer or of an opinion. By the way, we
Hmm.
want an answer of an opinion, and it's not really giving us it for Gemini and Claude, but it is
Yeah.
giving it to us for OpenAI and Grok. Interesting.
Yes.
Now, one of these next questions I don't think is as much an opinion. I think we're asking for a
Hmm.
definition. Is that the next question?
Yep, the
Okay.
definition is
Oh,
a
let's
very
go to.
common term getting thrown around today.
All
What
right.
is the definition of quote unquote woke? I'm personally kind of tired of hearing the word a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm just curious, like, what is the definition of woke? Because it seems to be a very hot button topic, or kind of a hot button topic, I'd say. But it's another one of those very uh how should I say, opinionated questions here.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the definition of woke, Claude?
Let's ask Claude.
Let's ask Claude. Meant alert. Okay, woke originally meant to be alert to racial prejudice and social injustice, rooted in African American vernacular, since been broadened and become politically charged to describe awareness of systemic inequalities related to race, gender, sexuality, etc. Contemporary usage carries two competing meanings. Progressives may use it sincerely to mean socially conscious, while critics use it to pejoratively to describe what they see as excessive identity politics or ideological overreach. So, once again, um, just gives you the argument.
It,
It's an opinion
it
question.
almost, yeah, it almost gave us a little history lesson, is the way
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw it.
definitely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's,
Uh,
it's staying consistent. I'll give it that.
which
It,
probably is why it's a hot LLM right now, is because
yeah.
it is consistent with its
Yep.
performance, but it's not performing the way we were hoping it would tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. Yeah. So anyway, Grok.
Let's do Grok, and
Let's
I'm
ask
sure this
you.
is the one everybody's.
Yep. Everybody wants to know. Everybody
Yep.
wants to know.
Let's take a look at Grok.
Woke originally meant being aware to actively import societal facts and injustices. I meant African American and vernacular, commonly used in two ways. Okay, it gives a positive original sense, socially adjusted, socially and politically aware, pejorative, mainstream current usage, excessively progressive, performatively moralistic, dogmatic about entire identity politics, etc., etc. In most contemporary English discourse, especially on X and American politics, WOS is now primarily used to critically describe the second meaning, which is more descriptive than the first one. I'm kind of noticing with this right here.
It is, but Brian, I want to know. I want to. You know what I find very interesting?
Hmm.
It did it again years and years ago. Wow, many episodes ago, you and I did the recipe episode where we just
Hmm.
uploaded recipes and said, "Give it to us."
Yeah.
Grok was the one that surprised us the most with the recipe in particular because it
Hmm.
was the one that actually made it a recipe where it actually had the measurements and everything like that that you would need. If
Hmm.
we did ask this, what is the definition of woke? It says woke, adjective, period.
Yeah, and
It
it gives
gives
you like
us
a
two commonly used ways. It actually gave us a definition.
yeah.
Uh,
So it kind of like yeah, something out of Webster's dictionary.
yeah.
But yeah, I will say I do see the right leaning again,
Oh,
because it gives
definitely.
a
I mean,
positive and
definitely,
negative.
but I, I feel it's more fair than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it is being a little more fair, but it is the positive sense. It kind of breezes over it, but the negative sense, it definitely is more descriptive, I would
It's
say.
it's it's letting you know that it's there.
Yeah, definitely more so, I would
Hmm.
say. So not quite as right leaning, but still definitely a right leaning, in my opinion.
Correct. Now
But
let's
Gemini,
see how Gemini can fumble this one.
yeah, it gives us a non-answer answer.
I hope it does give us an answer because we're asking for a definition.
Yeah, I know.
Here we go.
Woke has evolved significantly over time, transitioning specific slang term to a broad political signifier. Original American African American vernacular English. dating back to the early 20th century. Stay woke meant remaining vigilant and aware of social justices. Contemporary political usage. Proponents say socially conscious. Critics as describe act performative activism, cancel culture, etc., etc. Yeah, broadly defined. Summary says broadly defined. Woke refers to an active awareness of social and political issues. So basically, goes along with what Claude was doing, I would
Uh,
say.
It does. And are you noticing similar languages though, or similar
Yeah.
contexts between all three? I mean,
Yes. Yes.
every one of them has done a good job of letting us know African American vernacular English. Okay. Like
Yeah.
meaning is vigilant and aware of social injustices seems to be a theme throughout. So we're getting
Yeah, that
consistency of definition.
it is giving they are all giving us the origins of the word
Yes.
because that is the true origins of the word and everything like that. So it is giving a good definition right there. So um anyway, ChatGPT, what do we got?
Here we go.
And thinking
Social
originally meant.
injustices, particularly racism and discrimination.
Yep.
Contemporary usage, it generally refers to heightened awareness and advocacy regarding social justice issues such as race, gender inequality, and systematic discrimination. The term is now often politically contested, supporters using it positively to describe social awareness, while critics use to pejoratively
Pejoratively, yes.
to describe perceived ideology or excessive social justice activism.
Well,
I,
it
I,
kept it precise.
it kept it precise and concise. You know what's
Yeah.
funny is this is what I actually think it is. It's two different things depending on what how you're using it politically.
Yeah.
But I felt like the other three gave us a more educated answer in terms of a definition of it. And
Yeah, this just kind of gave it a little breeze over. It's like I don't want to hear about it.
yeah,
Which I'm kind of I think the word is kind of getting a little overused myself in a lot of ways, but either way,
maybe that's it. Maybe ChatGPT is picking up on the human behavior of that because it would interact with more people than the other
mhm,
three would. And maybe it's adapted that behavior
yeah,
in terms of, I mean, we all know that LLMs get lazy around Christmas time, and there's a reason for that. So,
yeah, definitely. So,
all
yeah, I
right.
mean, pretty consistent, I'd say, through all four of them.
I'm not
I'm
disappointed.
Yeah, that was a pretty consistent
Respect.
answers
Yeah, I'd say so.
and everything. So
What's our next
then
round?
the next question was the United States built by immigrants? This is another one. Immigration is a big argument right now. And we're gonna ask it, were we built by immigrants and everything? So let's see what ChatGPT has to say.
Just 1 second.
As
Got to make sure I copy it.
Yep,
Okay.
Adam does a little copy there, so he doesn't have to type it every time. Yes.
Yes. Well, that is a
ChatGPT says
declarative statement.
yes.
That is a
Largely
yes
built
with a
by
period, ladies and gentlemen.
immigrants and their descendants, 17th century onward, settlers from Europe, Africa, many forcibly through slavery, Asia, etc., contributed to the country's population, labor force, infrastructure, economy, and culture. However, the nation was also built on lands originally inhabited by Native American peoples who were not immigrants. So it gave us an
Why?
answer.
Okay. Gave us an answer. Now, I'm kind of giggling. Was America built by immigrants? Why are you adding that? However, the nation was also built on lands originally inhabited by Native American peoples who were not immigrants. What's the
Well,
purpose of
it's
that to answer this question?
I'm not sure, but paying the homage, I'd say. But
Hmm.
yeah, but it did give us a yes. It literally said yes as soon as we asked it.
And Brian,
So,
I will say I'm disappointed it didn't give a direct mention to the Irish and especially
eh,
in particular the canals that were built and
hmm
the many other things that were built by the
yes,
Irish. But you know what? It did say from Europe, but
yeah. It
uh,
gave all the regions. It didn't give a specific country. So
ah,
I'll give it that. I'll give it
disappointment.
that. We
Yeah, you're
said
right. You're right.
precise.
That's a positive thing.
We said precise and concise. So
We did. We did.
okay. So Gemini,
Gemini, here we
same
go.
question.
I can't wait to see how it does on this.
Yes.
Well, perhaps we'll see.
Um, a
Oh
combination of
God, here we
several
go.
distinct groups and hierarchical processes. To be precise, the country's foundation rests on our primary pillars: indigenous peoples, colonists, enslaved peoples, and immigrants. So, aren't the colonists actually immigrants? They're
Yeah,
separating those two because the colonists were immigrants to the land.
I like to think they
Um,
were.
yeah, so they kind of give, some definitions, the slave labor and everything. In conclusion, while a nation of immigrants is a popular and partially accurate shorthand for U.S. identity, it is more historically precise that the United States was built through a complex intersection of indigenous displacement, colonial settlements, enslaved labor, and immigrant contribution. So, another very broad answer, I'd say.
And notice how it does mention the indigenous peoples as well.
Yes.
However, they provided a little more context on this one that I kind of appreciate because I hadn't thought of this.
Yeah.
It's that the Native American inhabited and managed the land for thousands of years prior to European arrival, which would have
Hmm.
considered building it by providing initial geographical and agricultural framework.
Yeah.
So I
So
guess
they.
there's a connection there that I was not able to make with the ChatGPT
Mhm.
response. So
Yeah, so they kind of laid the groundwork for everything.
yeah.
So it kind of does give some layers there. I'm okay with that,
Yeah,
actually.
I'm not mad. I
This
think that
answer, I'm
helped
okay with it.
clarify something that we might have been missing the last time
Yeah,
around. So,
exactly. Grok, let's
Grok,
ask you the same question.
here we go. Grok says yes, period.
Yes, immigrants and their descendants, indigenous
Hmm.
people were already present for millennia. Every subsequent major wave of population growth, territorial expansion, infrastructure, et cetera, was driven primarily by immigrants
Hmm.
via forced migration. The nation's founding population, economy, institutions, overwhelmingly shaped by people who, or whose grandparents, had immigrated. So it's
Accurate.
sort of accurate. I think it's kind of saying the United States government, etc.
Mm.
And it says, yeah, indigenous people were here, whatever. But it's kind of, I feel like Gemini sort of gave more of a what should I say? Sort of description of the indigenous
I
peoples.
feel like Gemini was able to connect the dot why that's important.
Yeah.
Whereas with what Grok responded and what with ChatGPT responded, we have to try to
Hmm.
make that connection. I wasn't making it with the first one.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
am now.
So
I understand what it's talking about. It makes total sense now.
yeah,
But I know that because of Gemini. So kudos to Gemini on that one.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, we're getting all different answers. So Claude,
Let's see.
what do you have to say?
All right, I'm waiting for a surprise here for Claude.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yes, in significant ways,
Hmm.
shaped by waves of immigration from early European colonists to enslaved Africans forcibly brought to millions of voluntary immigrants from Europe, Asia, Latin America, and beyond, blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, yada. Shy. I shouldn't say blah, blah, blah. That's not nice. Uh, that said, indigenous peoples had established civilizations here long before European arrival. Nation's founding population also included large numbers of native-born colonists. Immigration was absolutely central to the country's development. It's more accurate to say the U.S. was built by a combination of immigrants, enslaved people, and indigenous labor, not immigrants alone. So, um, similar to Gemini, I'm noticing a lot of similar patterns between
Uh,
Claude and Gemini.
yeah, I think. I mean, I know we're getting ready to wrap up the
Hmm.
episode, but like, I think it's very safe to say that the training models that were used and the data that was used or the
Hmm.
programming that was used, whatever terms we're going to use for the layman's here,
Hmm.
Gemini and Claude clearly want to go the middle of the road,
Yeah,
not make a decision.
they want to present you the what
Correct.
they know to make your decision,
What they know.
which which can be good depending on who you ask.
It can be good. And the example of that was this last question where Gemini was able to connect the dots because it wasn't trying to persuade me. It was just trying to say, here's the all
Hmm.
things to consider.
Yeah.
So that there is positives to that. And I think if you really want to like prep for a debate or ask an opinionated question, I think what we've
Hmm.
learned tonight is this is a fair way to go. If you want to go Claude and Gemini to give you both sides of the issue, it's going to do that fairly. We now know that.
Exactly.
And I
All
would even
right.
argue the other two may be willing to give you a fair answer. However, there's a little bit of bias. I feel like, in particular, with a little bit of bias with that first question, in particular with
Yeah.
Grok, but Grok laid out its reasoning and it could be right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's kind of uses sources that we expected, but okay. So
so let's go back. Here we go.
our
Final
final
question.
question. Are tariffs good for the economy? Another massive debate right
Should
here.
we change that to the U.S. economy?
Yes, let's change that to the U.S. economy.
Good.
Tariffs good for the U.S. economy, which is, yeah, another hot topic debate at the moment.
It is.
Precise and concise, because we're doing a podcast episode, not trying to prepare a
No, I'm calling
20-page
that the
paper.
Google rule. I'm calling that the Gemini
Hmm.
rule.
Yeah, the Gemini rule. Make sure you don't let it babble.
And by the way, Gemini has still given us the longest responses of the night. So,
Yes,
yeah, I just want
yes,
that noted for everybody. All right, so
yes,
here
it
we go,
has.
Claude. I'm anxious to see if one of these gives us a historical perspective versus a modern perspective.
Genuine trade-offs, commonly largely view broad tariffs as a net negative for the old overall economy.
Hmm.
Arguments for protect domestic industries, effective leverage, trade negotiation, generate government revenue, strengthen supply chains, counter genuinely unfair foreign trade practices. Arguments against raise prices for consumers, invite retaliatory tariffs, reduce overall economic efficiency, protect smaller number of jobs while destroying others downstream. Historical evidence, Smoot-Hawley,
Hmm.
2018 steel tariffs
Steel tariffs, yeah.
suggests a net GDP drag. Legitimate tool when narrowly targeted for strategic purposes. Broad sweeping tariffs tend to produce winners in protected industries but losers economy wide. So it's definitely taking a side here.
It did this
Um,
time. It did.
yeah, while presenting the arguments, but it definitely takes a side
It's
against it.
saying no.
So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So let's go on to the next one.
Which changed my whole narrative that I had going a little bit. But
Yeah, I
you
know.
know what?
But
What if they all answer the same, Brian?
exactly. Let's see.
Although we're
Gro-
about to ask Grok, so let's see what
Yep.
happens here.
We're about to ask Grok. Grok, what do you got to say?
It's thinking.
Oh, ooh, now it's going into the analysis,
Here we
which
go.
makes
And I
me kind
believe I
of,
see one of the sources is JP Morgan, I think, based on the thinking.
yeah, mixed effects on the U.S. economy, protect specific industries, generate significant government revenue, potentially reduce trade deficits. However, often lead to higher consumer prices, reduced GDP, increased unemployment initially, supply chain inefficiencies, with Americans bearing nearly all the costs, retaliation from trade partners, um, recent resilience from terrorists, et cetera, et cetera. Um, it's kind
I,
of
I,
more middle of the road than I thought.
it is more middle of the road, and I think it's trying to lean us towards the answer is not necessarily.
Yeah, I think it has a leaning towards no.
Yeah,
They're not good. Uh, but
which
it,
is interesting, is I didn't think it was going to do that.
yeah. This was spending. Yeah, it's yeah. I mean that's kind of interesting one there. Middle of the road, but I think it definitely gave us leaning towards no, I'd say. So let's ask Gemini right now.
Okay.
New chat. As always, always start a new chat if you're starting a new question with these LLMs. One of the most debated topics in trade
Oh
policy,
my God, here it goes again.
trade-offs at a glance. It kind of says the same thing.
Now,
Uh,
I'm not even reading anything to anybody, but Brian, real quick, would you call this answer precise and concise?
Not at all. Gemini has their own sort of
Uh,
definition of that.
yeah,
The
it does.
tax argument.
Look at the
Okay,
go right to the summary though.
in the short term, tariffs are good for the Treasury's balance sheet and specific protective industries. However, for the broader economy, they generally lead to higher inflation, reduced purchasing power, and lower overall economic output due to increased cost of businesses. So, finally, it takes a stand
Mm-hmm.
and gives us an answer. It could be good in some ways, but bad in other ways.
Little
But
similar to Grokish.
yeah, a little similar to Grokish. I think you with Grok you had to read in between the lines a little bit, but with this,
Mhm.
it
Uh,
definitely gave us an answer in the summary.
there was also too
So
many lines on this one. I'm not going to lie. We're
yeah,
already on our fifth question of the night or sixth question.
yeah,
We ask
yeah,
you to be
just
precise and concise. Shame on you, Gemini. Shame on you
yeah,
on this one. Like
exactly.
way too
Yeah,
long.
yeah, but just to kind of give everyone a what should I say? the reasoning arguments are pretty much the same thing.
They
We're
are.
just not going to read them all over and over again, but the argument for, argument against, they kind of reference the same ideologies. So, all right,
Okay.
ChatGPT.
At this
Final
point, I think it's
question.
safe to assume it's going to be similar to the others.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Can provide short-term protection for domestic industries by making foreign goods more expensive. However, economists generally find tariffs raise prices for consumers' businesses, invite retaliatory tariffs, and reduce overall economic efficiency. Conclusion: tariffs may benefit specific industries temporarily, but typically harm the broader U.S. economy over time. That has been the same answer for all four of them, basically.
same answer for all four. I just like the fact that it did it in three run-on sentences, two run-on
Yes,
sentences. But frankly, I thought ChatGPT's was the simple layman's answer um,
yes,
for what we're looking
definitely.
for.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
kind of wish it did sources, but with that being said, it didn't think. It just
Hmm.
so it's already been programmed on this data.
Yeah.
So,
So that was yeah, interesting little experiment right there.
mhm.
Once again, we're not necessarily taking sides. I know we kind of took sides in the firearms, just because of personal experience, for us.
And also, I think all
Yeah.
four agreed with us. So let's
Yeah,
throw
definitely.
that out
So
there.
yeah,
So,
we'll throw that out there. But
yeah,
yeah, final takeaways. About about what I expected, really. Kind of a few surprises here and there. Um, the first question definitely, you saw bias with Grok. I feel like it kind of a little less bias towards kind of later on with the questions.
hmm oh,
But I feel like that first question is just so fresh right now,
yes. I mean, I
which
mean
may
it.
have influenced it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to say this though, it was pretty impressive that that Grok did kind of fall in line with the others a little more than what I thought it was going to.
Hmm.
So I think there's something to be said. It may be biased, or the others may be biased as well. I definitely think Claude and Gemini try not to be biased.
Yeah,
Uh,
I definitely saw that in their
yeah,
answers.
uh,
Like I definitely saw that they were trying to present the argument to you instead of trying to give you an answer, which is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Depends on who you ask, I
depends
suppose.
on who you ask, how you're using it, and keep in mind, Brian, if you and I would have changed the style of the way we were asking the questions, we may have gotten different answers. So that's
Exactly.
something to throw out there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically what I would conclude is if you want to debate something, a hot topic debate, don't use an AI tool. Uh,
Yeah.
do your research and
Yeah.
everything because it's just not going to work out well for you. But either way, I think that about wraps it up this evening. I'd like to give everybody a big thank you for taking your time out of your day to listen to us. My name is Brian,
And I am Adam.
and you have been listening to the Layman's AI, and we will see you next time.